Moro moro and welcome back to Culinary Roleplaying and into how it plays. This is a show where we will be taking a look different role-playing systems. I will give you a short introduction of the chosen system. I have some example characters that I will show you guys to get into the nitty-gritty of things. And today we have the returning heroes of Sir Mausevius the III and Greygor the Wise. And then we shall play a short introductory solo using some solo oracles so you can see how the game actually plays and not just see the rules on paper. And we shall continue our mouse-themed adventure where we also had this kind of common shared goal of introducing a lot of more rules-light systems. And this system will definitely be a little bit more on the crunchier side compared to the other systems we have been introducing. But definitely I would argue this is more like a loose toy box type of ordeal rather than being very strict rules poignant system, if you may. And I'm talking about Runehammer Games' game, the Index Card RPG, in short ICRPG. I would say Index Card RPG is your good old don't worry about it D&D. It is a D&D based system that is supposed to be more focusing on the fun of things, getting interesting items and giving characters interesting things to do. And it's not that interested on high number crunching and counting your experience points one by one and taking into account your different resistances and immunities, which you can have in this game, definitely. But most importantly of all, this is your DIY Dungeons and Dragons game, definitely. Actually, take that back. This is not a fantasy game, strictly. There are many different genres, even inside the game book. And it is doing its best to try to provide everything you need to play superheroes, to play sci-fi adventure, to play a Weird West kind of campaign. So anything goes. But today we are focusing more on the fantasy side because of our story that has been on fantasy side already. And I would say the fantasy is the most common one people usually play in tabletop role-playing games. So it's easier to have that genre reference back in your mind when you are seeing how the mechanics work. So how the game works, very simple again. We have D20, you have seen this dice maybe before, and if you haven't, it looks like this. Or this. So on a base level, very simple game. We will roll D20 and we are trying to beat a DC. Whenever you come across an obstacle within the adventure where success is not guaranteed for the character, you will have to test one of the 6 attributes we have. And we have the classic strength, dexterity, constitution, intellect, wisdom and charisma. So if I would try to persuade the cards to let me pass out of the gate, I would probably use my charisma. And when we are talking about Mausevius, we also have the charismatic leader ability, but let's go into those a little bit later. So let's just say we have charisma +2. And now we need to know the area or the scene DC. So when we go into different situations, we have a common DC of the area. It's usually an average of 12. This means how difficult in this location, in this scene, things are. So you won't have different kinds of DCs where gods have their own DC and then you try to climb over a wall, it has a different DC. No. If you have this kind of city area, you can say that the DC in this city is 12 and everyone tries to beat 12, whatever they do. And sometimes some abilities, some situational things might help or hinder your character. Then the task can become easy or hard. And that only means you either reduce from the difficulty -3 if it's easy, or you can add +3 when it's hard. So when the average DC would be 12, that means hard things would be 15 and easy things would be 9. And then we just roll the dice. If we roll over 12 and I have +2, it's exactly 12. So meet or beat, you beat this thing. Very simple thing overall. That's how the game works. Even enemy ACs works the same way. So when you're attacking somebody, you will roll and try to beat the local DC. When you try to cast a spell, you roll up a spellcasting roll and you have to beat the local DC. So it tries to be very simple and very linear as possible. But what is interesting mechanic, what I really enjoy, is the idea of effort. Instead of only having like success and fail or only having damage in combat, everything is counted as effort. So let's say we might have a locked door that has 2 hearts. That means you have to make 20 effort towards the lock until the lock is opened. So let's just say we are a thief and we have lockpicking tools that would make all the lockpicking rolls easy and would give us +1 to tool effort on lockpicking rolls. And let's say we are rogue, we have +3 on dexterity. So then I would first try to pick the lock, which would be now on average this location castle 12. Easy would be 9, so we need to beat 9 with +3 dexterity. We first roll that. 13 +3, 16, we would beat that. And then we know that there is the 2 hard effort that we need to do. Then we watch our character sheet and see tools and weapons is a D6. And now we also, well, now this is the Mausevius, but we could use that. Let's just say that something in our gear gives us +1 and then the lockpick gives us another +1 to tools and weapons. So then we roll D6. We get 4, we add +2, so that would be 6 effort towards the lock. And every heart counts as 10 effort. So that means I would have reduced the lock's 20 effort into 14. So it's basically like attacking different kinds of obstacles, but instead of doing like damage to things, it's just the effort we are putting through. And the damage in combat works the same way. So this really opens up into different situations where even during like combat you can decide to do like these kind of tasks that you need to do during combat. This opens up a lot more options to make interesting kind of encounters that doesn't necessarily only need to be like from a success or fail or that kind of standpoint. They can like keep on going and see how long it will take for people to open locks or to break down doors or to climb a certain wall or anything like that. So yeah, very simple, and it's easy to put hearts on everything, and they are basically just glorified 10 hit point markers. So 1 heart is 10 hit points, and it's just easier to put enemy with 3 hearts and you know it's 30 HP. Because what also ICRPG tries to do is dumb down the numbers, because in ICRPG the philosophy is that it doesn't really matter if you have 26 or 28 hit points. What matters is do you have 20 or 30 hit points. And if you totally disagree, then this is definitely not the game for you. But like I said, it tries to be don't worry about it D&D, and I think overall it, like 85% of things it simplifies, I agree on, and it works really well. And especially it's really good for solo because you can make enemies on the spot, you can make encounters on the spot. So definitely for solo play I think it's the optimal way to play if you want to play a D20 fantasy adventure type of game. And the whole character progression, you basically don't have levels. Almost everything your character has comes from different loot. So basically items give you more stat boosts, give you more effort boosts, and give you different kinds of abilities. There are other things, there are basically like these base classes that from time to time can give you milestone rewards when GM decides that you have earned one. And also like hit points, you can only gain more hearts while playing the game, and these can be items as well. And items can be stolen from you, so you can lose your abilities if you're not careful. But okay, let's take a look at characters a little bit. So I kind of custom made my own life form, because life form are basically your species, races, ancestries in this game. And I had to make a mouse life form, of course, because we are playing Sir Mausevius the III and Greygor the Wise. But life form basically just gives you extra modifiers, boosts in the beginning, because you have 6 to distribute while you start the game, and some from your life form. So I decided that +1 to dexterity and +1 to constitution comes from being a mouse. And then I just distributed 6 more for Mausevius. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because we have been playing with these characters, they had some items already. I just tried to recreate the character as closely as possible. So in the previous episodes we gained the Blade of House Mausevius, which was this magical weapon inherited by the head of Mausevius family. And it was basically this magical weapon that was really sharp and really like intuitively easy to use for Mausevius. So I just added easy to hit. Actually that doesn't need to be there. We don't need +1 because it's always easy to hit with this weapon. And the other aspect was that it gives +1 to magic, and it uses magic effort when you are using the weapon, because it's a magical sword that glows this magical light. Then we have mixed armor garb that gives us +2 to defense. So defense is basically your AC. Characters have their own AC, enemies have the areas, basically the overall DCs. But for characters it's 10 plus your constitution plus any defense you get from loot. So we have 14 because it's 10 plus our constitution +2, and our mixed armor garb gives us +2 to defense. Then we have bow and quiver. If we need to do some range attacks, we can do that. Then we have magical shackles that we have not discovered yet what they will do. And we still have thread. I have misspelled that. We have thread spool, which is basically like this full rope for mice. And then we have some rations. So our characters start with 1 heart, so only 10 hit points. And it can feel low, especially when you come from different games. And you can have 10 hit points for a long time, but there are not many multiple attacks in this game. You only have 1 action per turn. Only magical energies and ultimate attacks deal 1d12 or 1d10 damage. So 10 hit points means that you can take in maybe like 1 or 2 hits, in a good day 3, and that is enough in my opinion, that the combat doesn't need to take forever and ever. Then starting characters also gain 1 ability that can be from the different kinds of like carriers or classes, if you may, but you can easily make up your own as well. And I made charismatic leader for Mausevius, which basically means diplomacy and leadership tasks are always easy for Mausevius. And finally, all the characters start with a hero coin, which is basically inspiration. It has 2 uses. You can either reroll any die roll. It can be effort roll, or it can be d20 roll, or you can add d12 into any roll. And again, notice any die roll. That means you don't have to roll it for extra effort. You can also roll it with d20 to add to your current roll. And that's basically it for the characters. I can also show you the basics of spellcasting, because we have Greygor the Wise. Different types of loot give you different kinds of spells. So you might have a spell tome that contains X amount of spells, or you could have maybe 1 spell scroll that contains 1 spell. And the only thing you need is that item. And there is not like spell slot or mana points or anything like that. You'd always just have to roll for the spells to succeed. If you succeed, they go off, and if you fail, they don't go off. Simple enough. But there might be some other cases that something else might happen. For example, we have counterspell, and if we fail to counterspell, we also take 1d8 damage. And usually it's the local DC that you have to beat, but for example, we have the Curse of Odd, a spell that is a hard roll, so it's more difficult to do. And finally, I wanted to just show you how basically you can make enemy stat blocks for yourself and how simple they are. So the heart demonstrates how much life these creatures have. We have Ant-Man, 1 heart, same as starting players, so 10 hearts. We have Avenger, which is much more stronger. But then they have stats. +2 to all rolls. Simple enough. 2 actions per turn. So Ant-Men are quite fast and they can take 2 actions per turn, and they have +2 to every roll. So it's simple. When they are trying to do anything within the game, they can just roll the d20 and add +2. roll the d20 as +2. Attack enemy, attack players, try to close a door, try to run away, +2 to roll. And then they have some extra abilities. Slash, sword attack. Ant-men seldom use ranged weapons. So we know now that they only come close range. Dismembering bite, weapon. If more than 6 damage is dealt, the target loses a limb. Oh, that's kind of bad. Acid mist. Corrosive mist out of tiny pores in its exoskeleton. All enemies within near roll constitution or suffer weapon damage to themselves and 1 piece of equipment. So really nasty creatures. We have bone worm. +3 to all rolls, 2 actions per turn. Tongue lash. Weapon can also be used to destroy any inanimate object. So this basically means the effort die you are gonna roll when you are using that ability. Stone bite, weapon. If over 8 effort in 1 attack, destroy 1 item on target. Then we have a spell as well. Venom scent. Close enemies roll constitution or become dizzy with noxious gas emitted from small holes in the worm's shell. The dizziness causes 3 poison damage and makes rolls hard. So yeah, the monster stat blocks are amazing in that way that they focus on only the things that matter. Like, this is all the stats for Brain Horror, for example. All stats you need, 20 HP and +3 to all rolls. And then we know the AC is the same as this whole location has. And then we have the good stuff. So the abilities are what makes the creature unique and important. And I just love this. This is the greatest stat blocks you can have. This is for me, with kind of this improvisational ADHD kind of dungeon master, I really live for this. It simplifies a lot of stuff, it's easy to read, so yeah, feels really good. And this, you can make enemies on the spot like this, just what makes sense. Really nice. Kudos to being like really good monster stat blocks. And I think that's it. There is not much more from the game itself on a base level. Of course, I didn't go all the nitty-gritty what the book contains. I really recommend using this book and reading it, even if you would not use the system itself. It is a treasure trove for different kinds of encounter setups, and it's just a really solid read for any game master who wants to run an adventure for their friends or for yourself solo. So now I think it's time for us to continue the adventures of Mausevius the III and Greygor the Wise. While they have been traveling into the town of Mouseport, into the coast of the island, where they are trying to hire a crew and a ship, where they need to find the ancient flying fortress that was crashed down long ago, in order to find something, a knowledge, weapon, a secret that might be the key of defeating the corruption that is spreading from the west of Ratanza, and save the King Mausevius the III's father, and the whole kingdom. So like and subscribe, and let's go. Last time, Mausevius the III and Greygor the Wise were exploring the House Mausevius crypts to find the location of the flying castle that belonged to the Sorcerer King bloodline, the rulers of domain before the House Mausevius took over, and also the bloodline that Greygor the Wise belongs to as well. And they basically found approximate coordinates to the flying castle, where it was shut down from the sky and where it crashed into the sea. But we don't know if it's underwater, if it's over water, if there is some kind of island, what has happened to the castle in the sky itself. But we do know that the key to resolving this source of corruption that is plaguing the whole kingdom of Mausevius, the answer lies within that ruin. Mausevius and Greygor were able to use the river that is still blocking the corruption that is coming from the west towards the fortress of Ratanza. And they were using the river and the little boat that they found and traveled the river into the south. where they have now traveled all the way to Mouseport into the east coast. And there they are trying to find some kind of crew that are willing to take them into this mysterious unexplored territory. This won't be an easy mission, so they really need to make some kind of trade. I think we start today from the coach ride that is arriving into Mouseport, that has brought Mausevius and Greygor the Wise into the town. They both leave the coach, jump into the bustling city of Mouseport. Different smells and even flavors can be tasted on the air. The smell of sea, the smell of fish, but also the smell of interesting exotic produce that has come from all over the Triallands. As we can remember from the whole Triallands map, we are somewhere here on the small domain of Mausevius and folks. So Greygor, we have the coordinates, but I think we might still need a navigator, and definitely what we need is a ship. And prove stupid enough to follow us into this unknown territory.
Yes, young master, you are definitely right, but fortunate for us, the stupidity is the one thing you can always count on finding in Mouseport.
And as soon as Greygor says this, they can see this kind of sailor themed grungy tavern or inn even, where these two like rodents, let's say a hamster and a mice, they come busting out of the inn door and trying to hit, scratch and bite each other. And few playing cards can also be seen flying from the inn. So definitely some kind of maybe misunderstanding or some kind of respectable differences in opinions regarding to card games. And even Mausevius sighs a little bit and is just like, how vulgar. Maybe we should start with the navigator. And does either of them know any navigator in Mouseport? Let's ask from the Oracle. We are again using Blood Unfolding Machine because it's convenient and fun. And let's just straight up ask. There are two of them, so I would say it's likely that either one of them knows someone. So let's say likely. We need D100. There's the D100. And tens again is the odd column, and the 1 is the extra spice. So do they know someone? 3. No, they don't know any navigators from Mouseport. Well, this is gonna be a tough one. I don't know anyone specific. Do you, Greygor?
Unfortunately, my interests have been lying elsewhere, my lord. But maybe we should just start by looking from harbor.
And both of them, carefully darting around the commotion, they make their way towards the harbor. And harbor is bustling as well. There's many different types of ships coming and going. The cargo is moved around. This is definitely the place where other mice go into different parts of the world as well. So not only goods, also mice. And here I think they can also see members of other animal groups as well. We saw the hamster before. I think there are some hedgehogs going into their own ship. And basically when they are moving around the boxes, they almost sometimes spike like passerbys, where the people are like, hey, watch it! And the hedgehogs are like, oh, sorry. And they keep on carrying different boxes. Are there any birds around? Let's see, 50-50. 10, 6, no, 9. Unless, they are not seeing any birds right now, but there is this one very nice looking ship that also has this front piece, which is basically this swan spreading its wings, and the long and the long neck is pointing towards the horizon. And it looks to be a ship that could belong to a bird. And it looks quite promising. Definitely looks seaworthy ship, and it looks like a ship it could get around easily. I think there is even like this kind of wing attachments on the side of the ship, so it looks like this could potentially be a ship. It could also maybe fly or glide, something like that. And Mausevius says to Greygor, Greygor, should we ask this ship to come with us? Because we are looking for a flying fortress, so just maybe the fortress is still in the air, at least partially. Being able to fly would benefit us greatly.
Well, young sir, I can't argue with your logic. Do you see anyone on the ship?
And I think they see someone, and it looks to be like these sparrows that are working on the ship, basically. And they're like, and quite easily taking a hold of the boxes from the ship and just basically like flying them onto the dock and making unloading the cargo quite handy for them, especially stacking the boxes together. They can just stack the boxes quite high even. I think even like they are stacking them a little bit too high, and the people working on the docks have to say like, no, not that high stacks, we cannot deal with that. Basically, oh, sorry. They now start to like correct the boxes to be a little bit more manageable even for all the folks that don't have any feathers. Mausevius approaches one of the deckhands, if you may, one of these sparrows, and asks them, excuse me, may I talk to you about captain? And is the captain present right now? I think it's likely. 9, yes. 2, for now. Okay, so they are definitely in a hurry, or they want to like move forward. I think they are just like basically bringing the cargo and are already like figuring out how to leave. So they are not staying for long. So Mausevius is asking one of the deckhands, and oh yes, our captain is on the deck, as you can see, looking very serious. That mean looking bird over there. I think the captain is a crow. And Mausevius can see this black-winged crow with a spyglass on its other leg, looking into the distance. It seems like they are making some measurements. Mausevius looks the captain with interest in his eyes. Greygor, what do you think? Is the captain also a navigator?
Well, not everyone can do calculations, at least, so that might be the case. And also, birds naturally have a really good sense of direction, my lord. Not only we would have the capability of flight, but we could also have a very naturally talented navigators.
Yes, definitely, Greygor. It is settled. We need to take this ride with them. And Mausevius starts to like, basically, with spring on his steps, starts to board the ship. And he gets few, like, head turns on his way, definitely, because he was not invited and he's just inviting himself in. And he's approaching the captain and he tries to start a conversation. Mausevius is like, excuse me, but he is greeted with, well, I really do. Not now, young one. Can't you see I'm quite busy? And the captain is still making her calculations and finalizing the calculations, then putting away spyglass, and then turning and watching really closely Mausevius, even so close that Mausevius has to like pull his head back a little bit. And the crow captain asks, well, who might you be, young little mouse? Good day, my name is Mausevius, and I would like to hire your crew and your ship. And I think the first reaction for the captain is basically like this kind of crow laugh. You would like to hire us, you say? Well now, we don't come cheap, you know? And Mausevius is charismatic and he knows how to play these kind of games, and he just pulls a little smirk and lifts up his whole demeanor from this kind of careful, shut-in persona to this very open, demanding persona, and asks from the captain, "Well now, do I look like a cheap mice to you?" The captain crow gently nods her peak. "Well, at least I think we can have a conversation. My name is Fiona Darkwing." Okay. I need to remember this. Captain Fiona Darkwing. I am the captain of the Swan Song. Swan Song is the name of this ship. Where would you like to take my ship? Actually, do you have a map? And with small curiosity growing inside her, Fiona carefully draws a map from the side in front of Mausevius. Actually, I might need my advisor for this. Greygor! And Greygor is,
Yes, master.
"Do you remember the coordinates? And tell them to the captain."
Oh yeah, yes, of course. It was.
So they are presented the map, and they will add the general area into the map. Definitely it's not a too long of a travel. Maybe around a day, I would say, with their ship. We are looking for the ancient flying fortress of the Sorcerer King. My whole name is Sir Mausevius the III, the prince of this domain. A small surprise for Fiona is like, "Wah!" They both, Mausevius and Greygor, both can see the money, the glittering prospects of money in Fiona's eyes when she can see that this can definitely be a profitable journey, even though it's a dangerous one. And she even puts on this act like, "Oh, okay, so it is a very important journey into unknown and with no guarantee of safety. This is going to be an expensive travel." Mausevius leans closer and says to Fiona, "It definitely is that, but it is also an ancient ruin. We don't need everything there, and Greygor is actually the inheritor of the whole place, so he can give you anything there you want. Right, Greygor?"
Well, with certain parameters met, we could possibly manage some kind.
Wonderful. Yes, he can give you anything you want. Let's roll a persuasion for Mausevius. And definitely this is, well, it's going to be easy anyway because of our charismatic leader talent. So yeah, let's just roll for it. We need 9. Our charisma is also +2. 6. Ooh, +2 is 8. I will use the hero coin now because I really want this to succeed. So now we can add a d12 to this roll. So we need at least 1 and we will get it, but let's see. The 1. Okay, now it's exactly 9. Exactly what we need. Luckily. Ooh, almost got it bad, but we managed to do it. Fiona glares both of them with real intent, maybe even a little bit aggression in her eyes, until she just barks out laughing. "Well now, young Prince Mausevius the III, you have yourself a ship. I will be taking something precious, you know. You have my word. Now, when can we leave? My crew needs a little bit of time to recover from our journey, but we should be able to leave first thing in the morning. We weren't going to plan to stay here long anyway." And she opens her black wings, basically flies into the center of the ship and kind of like huddles the whole crew together and just says, "Crew, we have a new job. Look at mice over there? That is the prince of this domain, no less. We shall take extra good care of him and his older counterpiece advisor." It was Greygor, right?
Yes, Miss Captain Greygor the Wise, at your service.
Yes, Greygor. They are our honored guests that will bring us a lot of riches. And we shall go into adventure and look for the flying fortress, no less. And one of the sparrows is basically like, but isn't it just a legend? We have been there many times and we haven't seen any But now we have someone, expertise on board. Things have changed. So get yourself ready. We shall leave first thing in the morning. And she flies straight into the captain's cabinet and just shouts behind the door, "See you tomorrow then." Okay, that's great. We got the navigator and the ship with the same go. That was very lucky for us. Greygor, we should also get ready and be ready to depart tomorrow.
Yes, my sire. Let's do everything we can to prepare.
And I think there's nothing much more to prepare. We have kind of like everything we could need. We have still some resources with us, interesting stuff. Definitely let's make this a journey. I want there to be some kind of encounter before we get into the actual area of the ruin. And then we have to still kind of like figure out where the ruin is. So let's use the oracle table again to determine what kind of encounter we are going to have on the sea. Challenge, circumstance. Maybe a challenge. Why not? Here we go. 12. Something needs protection or care. Okay, this can be two things. This can be either some kind of sea monster, or this can be a storm. Which one is it? I think it's even, and let's say no is a sea monster and yes is a storm. So let's roll from the oracle. No is a sea monster, yes is a storm. 9, it's a storm. 9, unless is the storm caused by a sea monster?
Interesting, okay.
We get into the next day. The ship has left. The ship has left the shore. And they are making their way into the question mark at hand. And we are... And I think... Yeah, maybe it's not a sea monster. Maybe it is a storm. But the storm is created by something else. That's something that has kept the fortress hidden this long. So I think they will be able to go to the edge of this whole place. And then they are greeted with this thunderstorm and forever growing mist. An unsettled sea. Mausevius looks into the horizon with a small thread on his face. And the captain lands next to him and gently puts her other leg onto the shoulder of Mausevius and says, "You didn't think it's gonna be easy to find a place that nobody has been able to come back and tell about?"
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So that is the reason nobody has found it. There is a reason that ships try to go as far from this place as possible, but they haven't had you or they haven't had me. Just buckle up and be ready. Secure the sails, be ready for storm. And all the different sparrows and birds, basically like they can fly into the masts, adjust the sails as needed. So they are very efficient users of the ship. And they are basically like doubling down some of the sails, pulling some of the sails down to not get overwhelmed by the different winds, and just leaving the necessary sails that they need to move forward. And let's make this now a challenge. We have a grand storm that has effort of, let's say, 4 hearts. So it has 40 effort. We need to be able to do actions during this time until we have resolved this storm of 40 efforts. And every time we fail, something bad might happen to the characters. We might lose something, we might take some damage, we might lose a turn to not do anything. So let's see what happens. The wind is rising ever more. The waves
keeps on crashing into the ship, starting to make the ship wobble from side to side. The storm is upon the Swan Song. Captain Fiona just shouts to everybody, "Brace yourselves, the storm is here!" Mausevius runs to Greygor. "We need to help him any way we can." "Yes, master, of course." "Oh." "Are you seasick, Greygor?" "Well, I'm a mice, not a sea rat. Next time, let's keep it in the realm of knowledge, please."
Now, I think Greygor will still take some time to cool off. Sure, I will give Captain Fiona a turn as well. Let's say Fiona has 2 hearts, and when it comes to sailing, she definitely has, let's say, +4, and everything else she has 2. And yeah, should Mausevius just try to help Fiona? What Fiona is doing? I think Fiona is just first like shouting orders to everybody. "Close that sail! Keep the beak on the horizon!" And Mausevius will try to just hear what Fiona is saying and just trying to help out. So I will give Fiona this next roll as easy because Mausevius is helping her. And I think because we are getting close, well, let's say it's still an average of 12. Well, let's say it's 13 because it's really difficult storm. So it's understandable that the overall DC here is a little bit more difficult. So let's say it's 13 DC. And now it's easy, so it will be 10. And Fiona has sailing +4. Let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice. 7 + 4 is 11, which is enough. We will create the first roll of efforts. And this is maybe, I would say, tools. This is definitely a tool effort. 6. We create 6 efforts, which leaves us 34. So we start out great. Fiona is barking out orders, or growing out orders, to everyone. And Mausevius is basically like being basically the second in command. And I think the actual second in command is like, okay. And he just leaves and just does other things because Mausevius is definitely taking the leadership role as well, naturally being a natural leader. So Mausevius helped Fiona. That has happened now, and now it's Greygor's turn. Greygor has some strength, so he will try his best to like help to pull the sails down, and is giving directions, everything that requires manual labor. As we can remember, Greygor was actually quite physically strong that we rolled, which is like, he is not this kind of very weak, old, grey-bearded wizard. He's this strong, capable, like, wizard that believes that not everything can be solved with magic. And I will say this is easy because there is the rest of, because I want to include the rest of the crew as well, and they are actually doing something. So I will make this roll a 10 as well, easy roll, because it's Greygor's roll, but the crew is also like doing their part. So strength +2, we need 10. 4, that is unfortunately not enough. Some risk happens. Let's roll a risk. 2, compromise someone else. Okay, Greygor is trying his best to like do the sea work, but he is not a sailor, and he tries to make this knot to the side of the ship, but it basically goes loose, and the loose rope, like a whip, hits on one of the, I think it hits the actual second in command, and basically knocks the bird out completely. And some of the crew is like getting disorganized, and that is something that we definitely need to deal with the next round. And now we get into the next round. And I think Greygor firstly tries to go and help out the knocked out bird, and that's gonna definitely take some action. It's either int based or wisdom based. Let's say it's intellect based, because Greygor has some basic knowledge of healing and medicine and first aid as well. So he runs to this bird and just says, "I'm sorry, my friend.
I am not seaworthy like you guys are.
And tries to help the bird back up. 13, now it's the normal difficulty, and with intellect. 16 plus 2 is 18, which is enough. And I will say this will not create any effort, because this was just Greygor fixing his own mess. So, but we are now at the stable levels in that, so we don't have to worry about it. So he's able to get the bird up, and basically is bandaging the spot that was hit by this rope, which is somewhere around the neck area, trying to escort the bird into safety. So Mausevius now maybe tries to just to take a leadership role in a different kind of way, where Fiona was like barking orders. Mausevius tries to be encouraging and just say like, we can do this together, you have gone through worse, show me what you're capable of, and just trying to inspire and make the crew more braver. And this is definitely a charismatic leader role, which means this will be easy for us, and our charisma is +2. So 10, and we get +2. 20. 20 means we can roll ultimate for the effort. And I think that's also mastery, right? We get 1 mark of mastery. So with the inspiring speech, Mausevius is able to be an example for the rest of the crew, with the small mice that doesn't have any wings and in danger of almost like getting washed away. He still stands strong, puts his other leg onto the railing of the ship and just pulls out his sword and just shows the sword forward and just say, forward! Let's see. 11! Oh my god! So good effort. It is awe-inspiring. So from 34 effort required, we only now need 23 more. Okay, amazing round from Mausevius. Truly inspiring words, and seeing this magical sword unsheathed by Mausevius, all the crew members remember that they are really looking for ancient treasures that will make them rich, and probably so rich that they don't have to work as sailors anymore. And I think Fiona also kind of riffs off out of Mausevius' inspiring leadership and just shouts, "Ah! You heard the mouse!" And is maybe even doing this kind of inspirational flight over the mast, and then landing perfectly back in front of the wheel, and starts to really steer the whole vehicle while like basically standing on the wheel and just moving it and stabilizing it. So yeah, definitely let's again do a new role for Fiona. And now I think I will make this easy, because now all the crew members are inspired. We saved the second in command, everything should be fine. So definitely we only need 10 and we get +4. 16 plus 4 is 20, more than enough effort. And again, this is tool effort, so we'll roll a d6. 3, we get into 20 right now. Second round. Is there some kind of... I'm still like wondering if there is some kind of sea creatures also that have taken this ruin as their home, and that's why there is also the storm. I need to ask that. I really need to ask that. Is there some kind of sea creatures, monsters in here? 10s again. Let's say odds are even, and 10s again are the odds, and 1 is the spice. 5. No. 1. Possibly. Not possibly. There's a possibility that there is no creatures, but it doesn't mean that there won't be any creatures. So that means when we go to this next round, if someone fails, punishment for that fail will be that there is some kind of creature lurking. But if they are very good at managing everything, they might not come across with a creature. So let's keep that in mind when we go into the third round. And now Mausevius has been shouting orders. Now he really needs to do something else in order to be useful. What we could maybe do? Do we have something interesting? We still don't know what the magical shackles do. Should we just risk it and try them on? No, that's too risky right now. We have thread and spool. We could try to use the spool and the thread to try to tie each other. I'll just make a general dexterity roll for Mausevius to see how now he has been inspiring people, how he can like hold himself together while he's thrusting the sword towards the sky and basically like standing on the handrail. So let's just see how he can manage that. This is definitely not an easy task. So this is the 13 using dexterity +2. We have nothing special to it, so it's just +2. 6, and that will be 8. Not enough. So like I said, this means some kind of creatures. Is there a creature or creatures? 50-50. Oracle. Is it a creature or creatures? If it's yes, it's a creature. If it's no, it's creatures. 50-50. 9. It is a creature. There is a moment when Mausevius is holding the sword up high. Basically, the whole ship gets pushed to the side for a second. Mausevius kind of falls down into the front and center of the ship. And now, into the other side, this black sea serpent, an actual serpent, but it's a giant compared to these little animals. This black sea serpent comes from the water. And it looks to be under the corruption. And it even seems like the storm and the creature might not be connected, but it has definitely taken home of this threatful location. Mausevius understands that the corruption has even spread in here. Okay, giant sea serpent. It is definitely a 3-heart creature. It is threatful, it has +3 to everything. It has ability of poison fang. It is a weapon, die, because it is it's a big creature. Also con check or poison, which means everything is difficult. It also has slam, which is weapon, save, dex, or out of ship. That's good for now. So sea serpent has now risen from the water, and I will give the sea serpent turn after everyone else, because now we have had Mausevius, now we still have Greygor and Fiona, and then finally the sea serpent. Now this is basically also a pseudo combat, so we can still decide with the characters, will we use our turn to try to get out of the storm, which will probably help us escape the sea serpent, or will we attack the sea serpent? And first of all, I think Fiona will just do the sailing roll, and will the crew focus on the sea serpent? Yeah, I think so. So Fiona will not get easy, but we will give crew an opportunity with +2 to roll to make a weapon amount of effort against the sea serpent. So Fiona is trying to correct the ship in the right way now when the new mass of weight came in from the left side, and is basically trying to slam itself into the deck and basically trying to sink the ship. Let's go. Fiona. Hit +4 is 12, which is not quite enough. No, we will not use any hero coins or anything like that. That's fine. Okay, Fiona is trying to correct the ship, but the snake is weighting down and making it impossible in this moment to get any effort in helping get out of the storm. That's fine. I won't get any. I will say Fiona won't get any penalties right now, because now she lost an action and there is a sea serpent, so that is a threat enough. Okay, Greygor. What could Greygor do? We have 3 spells: Counterspell, Identify, and Curse of Ord. Hard roll, touch, curse the target, and we can basically curse the target on any form we want. But it is a hard roll. Is
Greygor able to get close to the creature. This is difficult choice. I think for now, Greygor will just pull out his rapier and just gets closer to the snake on its root and just stabs with his rapier this snake. Let's see if we can hit. We have +2 on strength, we will use that because dexterity, because our needle is like a finesse weapon, so we can use strength or dexterity. So +2 against 13. Let's see if we can hit. 6 and 8. Unfortunately, this time Greygor tries to stab in, and he succeeds, but then snake's skin is very thick. It's a thick big snake. Yeah, I said that out loud. And the snake is now slowly turning and looking straight at Greygor. Greygor is just like, oh no. Greygor is in big trouble. Now, before the snake's turn, we have the crew. The crew has +2 to this roll as well, and they are trying to hit the creature as well. Oh, natural 1. Oh no. The crew is trying to get in, and basically they get slammed by the big body of the snake, and they just scatter all over the deck, and they can't do anything next round. They are basically now completely stunned from this whole ordeal. And now it's the snake's turn. A snake sees Greygor right in front of him, and it tries to bite Greygor right away. So +3 against Greygor's 12. Let's see how that happens. 18 +3 is 21. That definitely hits Greygor, and Greygor needs to save against poison with Constitution. So +2, we need to beat 13. And Greygor fails. So the snake goes in, basically almost engulfs Greygor in full, but Greygor is able to stab the snake inside. So the snake has to release Greygor before they just both get pulled completely underneath. But Greygor is now poisoned. Everything is difficult for him, and he takes only 1 point of damage. So it's only the poisonous taste only crazed Greygor, but it was enough to inject the poison in him. So Greygor has 9 out of 10. And Greygor is looking very sick. Mausevius, get to safety. And now Mausevius, like rising from the ground after getting shoved onto the deck, he sees this giant sea serpent in front of him and picks up the magical sword and just goes to full-on attack against the creature. Okay, let's go. So always easy to hit. So that means we only need 10 to hit, and we will use our dexterity, which is +2. And natural 1 again. Oh no. I will say Mausevius tries to leap forward, but the sword gets slapped out of his hand. I wouldn't say it gets flung overboard, but definitely it's gliding through the deck. The situation looks really bad. Greygor knows they are almost out of options. He knows that there's not much else to do. He's right next to the snake. He concentrates, touches the snake on its side, and uses the Curse of Ord.
May the air you breathe burn you for eternity until there is nothing but ash left.
It is difficult, but everything is difficult for Greygor right now. We have to get 16, and we get +2 to this roll. 17 +2 is 19. Greygor succeeds in the spell, and the snake suddenly, its eyes opens wide, and just ash and smoke is coming out of the lungs of the snake. And now, every turn, it will take magical amount of effort of damage until the curse is broken, which I don't think it can do. And Greygor has magic and energy +2. So we start with d10 +2. So let's do it at the start of the snake's turn so that then we remember. Because we still have Fiona. Fiona is just trying to keep on sailing. She's trying to succeed and get us to safety. 1. So there's a big wave hitting the whole ship, basically in a way that Fiona gets also pushed away from the wheel, and the wheel is burning and turning and turning and turning, and basically this whole ship is almost capsizing, not quite, but it's like getting tilted into the side, and even the sword is like now sliding to the side. So Mausevius definitely has to make some kind of check in order to save the sword next round. But before that, we get into the snake's turn. The snake is getting a huge amount of damage from the magic. 4 + 2 is 6 points of damage. So 24 left for the snake. Is that enough to scare it away yet? It is a beast, but it's a corrupted beast. But we established before that the beasts are like sentient, so they are able to make the decision to run away. I don't think it will go quite yet. It's just like the whole insides are burning for the snake, and it just tries to slam and push Greygor out of the ship. Now let's see, it's +3 and it needs 12. 3 + 3 is 6. So it tries to slam into Greygor, but Greygor is able to jump just behind the mast, and Greygor is still poisoned, just trying to breathe heavily next to the mast, and just tries to like hunker down and be safe. Okay, we go into the next round. Now Mausevius, seeing that the sword is slowly sliding, almost going out of the ship, definitely he's going to make a dexterity check to save the sword from going over the board. A lot depends on this, and we used our hero coin already. We have 6, but we can give hero coin to another at any time. That is in the rules. We will give Sir Greygor's coin to Mausevius. So we need to beat 13. We have 6 + 2 is 8. Do we want to risk it and roll again, or do we want to roll a d12 more? Yes, we will roll again. Okay, we will roll again. Oh, 17. So Mausevius is able to grab the sword, and he rises back up, but that will be his whole action. He can't do anything else. Well, the sword is saved for now. Greygor's turn. For Greygor, everything is difficult. What he will do? He has done everything he can. I think he will just hunker down and try to shield himself from harm. So he will get +3. So it will be difficult for other things to try to hit him. Instead of 12, they need to beat 15, because now he's just trying to hunker down and trying to find a cover where the snake wouldn't possibly find him. Before the snake, let's roll for Fiona. Fiona just now tries to get back and pull herself together and try to get the whole ship stabilized. 19 + 4, 23, definitely. But I will give penalty and roll only the basic die, because it has taken some time to her to get back into the roar, and now finally steering and making some progress because of the natural one we rolled last round. And that is 2. Not great, but it is towards out of the storm. Okay. And now the snake's turn again. Let's roll for damage first. 10. D10 + 2. Oh, 11. 24. So 14. 13. Now we have gone over the half threshold
definitely we're going to do a willpower check for the snake, and that is 13 plus 3. Natural 1. The snake is terrified. It can't breathe. The snake is letting up and going down into the depths to water again. But we are still in the storm. We are not in the clear yet, so we have to do one more round at least. Mausevius sheathes his sword and just tries to pull up everyone from getting beaten down. And now I will accept one more charisma roll for him, where he tries to just inspire people and like, we can pull this through, the snake has let up, now it's our chance. So it will be easy again because it is a leadership, plus 2 to charisma, so 10 needs to happen. 16 plus 3, 19 definitely happens. Let's roll. Would you call it? Well, maybe this is a basic one. It's basic stuff. 1 plus 1, it's 2 at least. It is effort nonetheless. We are at 16, and now the crew members are back doing their stuff again. Greygor, what Greygor could do, I think Greygor will just go inside the ship and just make himself safe. He knows he's poisoned. He's trying to find some kind of antidote underneath the deck. And let's just say that he's out of the action button, but he doesn't need to roll, so he doesn't hinder anyone else. So now we go to Fiona. The crew is back on action. DC 10. Let's go. Fiona sailing roll 10 and plus 4. Natural 1 again! How many natural ones can I roll? Okay, what does this mean? I think this is some kind of damage. I think Fiona almost like this giant wave comes from the side where the sea serpent is still like skirming and spinning because its breathing is on fire, and it basically slams to the side of the ship, and Fiona will take, well, let's say D6 points of damage, 6 points of damage. So now into the 14s. Also, she needs to rise back up. I haven't been this horrible storm in a long time. I have water under my underfeathers. Terrifying. We need to again go to the next round. Mausevius now tries to grab the wheel. He sees that Captain Fiona is a little bit out of it, getting slammed to the side, and now basically Mausevius tries to grab the oar and try to steer the ship into the correct course again. 13 strength, only plus 2. Let's see how this goes. 15 plus 2 is 17. We succeed. And we can use the tools definitely here. So D6 plus 2. 5. That is 7 effort. We are at 9. They can see basically that they are getting through of this storm. They can see some shapes already in the distance behind the storm. And Mausevius says, we are close. We are so close now. And I think Captain Fiona will, after gotten up from the slam, she basically like flaps her wings and goes to the upper mast and takes out her spyglass and tries to basically navigate the whole ship, and also barking orders underneath her, and just tries to like steer the whole vessel into the right correction because she can see some sharp stones coming from underwater. Be careful, Mouse, it's gonna be a tough ride. Rawr! And now this is perception, I would say. She's trying to perceive, but this is definitely something relating to sailing, so we can use the plus 4. Now the crew members are again helping, so it's only 10. Let's go. 2! Oh my god, Fiona is not feeling it. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Let's roll a risk. Let's see what happens. Oh, I think I know. She will lose the spyglass. There's a big wave again. She's looking, and poof, the spyglass is thrown into the sea. And I will say she's not useful. She's like out of the encounter for now, because she's like, she can't see anything. The storm is like spraying in her face. It's up to Mausevius now to get us to safety. Mausevius still holding the wheel, and now the crew is helping him, so this will be a difficulty of 10. Let's just say dexterity now. Now he's getting the hang of it, and he tries to steer the whole ship. I need to change dice, because that dice is not serving me well right now. Okay, +2, we need 10. Oh, yes, 15 effort. That is enough to create some effect. And we are out of hero coins. We just need to trust. Oh, we need to trust. Slow and steady. We get 3 more. They are able to dodge all the obstacles. And they can see right there. They can see the end. Now we can decide if we want to give the crew their own turn with +2, or do we want them to just help Mausevius. And I will say we will just make them help Mausevius, to give Mausevius a 10 to the roll. And now I think it's just constitution. He's just trying to keep himself and everyone else together while the storm is breaking into their face. And they just try to push through the storm. And that is 10 exactly. 8 + 2 is 10. And this is again tools, because we are using the ship. 6. We need 4 or up. And they succeed. Mausevius is able to steer the ship out of the storm and into the clear waters. And in the horizon, they can see the ruins of the flying fortress of the Sorcerer King. And not only some of the ruin is floating on top of the water, they can see still some particles levitating, flying aloft. The fortress has fallen into pieces, but some of the magic still remains. And Mausevius just looks at the distance, sighs. We made it. We are here. We made it, Greygor. Still poisoned, coming from underneath, just looks into the distance. Yes, it seems like we did, young master. What a relief. And even Fiona comes. Mausevius, I need to admit, you were quite capable out there. You have earned my trust and my thanks. Thank you for saving our ship. And for that, I will give you a little discount when we are getting our treasure. Okay? Mausevius sighs and laughs as well. Oh, well, how polite of you. And thank you, whole crew. Without you, we wouldn't be able to be here. Thank you for giving your trust to me. Behold, the ruins of the Sorcerer King. And should we end it for today? I think we did kind of all of the stuff we needed to do. And this is really good place to start the next episode. And like, yeah, I think I have showcased the system enough. We used all the things, yeah. As you can see, not a complicated system. Really cool to make this kind of interactive, like action challenge, as well as like fighting a monster at the same time, or fighting enemies. So you can like mix and match combat, action, everything. And it just works because everything uses the same currency. Everything uses the effort and the actions, and they have the same DC. So crazy stuff can happen, and still you can like keep playing, and it still makes sense. So yeah, definitely a great system for solo play. Definitely a great system for open world play. If you ever want to have like this kind of West Marches campaign, amazing system for that. Yeah, and thank you for watching this episode. It's been a long time since I have done actual how it plays. I have had with problems with camera and everything, and I have needed to work, surprisingly enough, like in real life. But I'm still here. I'm so glad I was able to play some solo tabletop role-playing games again. Next time we will have our final episode of the Mausevius arc. But I think we might do 5. It seems like we need to like get the story now
first into the ruins and then we need to deal with the corruption. But let's see. So 1 or 2 rule slide systems coming right up. I have so many other systems I want to showcase here, but let's take it one game at a time. Again, I want to thank my Culinary Role-Playing Guild members. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being guild members. And if you feel like you got the guild itch, now it's good time to join the Culinary Role-Playing Guild. It really helps me emphasize making these videos because I love to make them. And I really want to give them more and more time. And the more support I get from you guys, the more videos I can make. But for now, moro moro, and I hope I see you next time.